Hey everyone, this is Brandon, the co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast and the VP of Growth here at Bigger Pockets. And today I am thrilled to be able to announce that we are finally releasing the Bigger Pockets Wholesaling Calculator. And today I'm here to actually show you how it works and kind of a little bit of the features of it. I'm pretty impressed with it. I love it. I'm using it every day. I think you're going to like it too. So before I show you that, let me just tell you why we came out with the calculator. I mean, here's the thing. I hate crappy wholesalers. Now, I know that sounds kind of mean, and you know, there are a lot of good wholesalers out there, but there's a whole lot of just really bad, shady wholesalers who find a deal that's not a deal. They tack on a bunch of extra costs on it, and then they try to sell it to you like it's a good deal. And the way they sell it to you is like, hey, I got a good deal. Here's the address. Go buy it. And they think that the cash buyer or the investor is stupid. And as a result, those people fail constantly. Maybe you've been in those shoes. Maybe you've made those mistakes. I know, like, when you're starting out, you don't always know how to analyze a deal right. That is why we built the wholesaling calculator, is to help you as an investor be able to analyze a deal that you can then give to a flipper or a landlord. So that is what the calculator does, and that's one of the coolest parts about the calculator, and I'll get to that in just a moment. But one of the coolest things is it actually enables you to create different reports. You can actually do the analysis for a flipper, or if this is a better rental property and you want to wholesale this to a rental owner, you can wholesale it to a rental owner by doing the rental side of it. So pretty cool. Let me kind of walk you through everything, how it works real quickly. Just, I guess, follow along. So this is the calculator right here. You just get to it. Probably biggerpockets.com/calc is going to be your best way to get there. And then you can see all the calculators we have, the rental property one, the flipping one, and this one, plus a few others. But once you get here, you're going to want to go to the report title. Now, the report title is where you type in like the name of what this report is. This is how you remember what the report is. Later on, you can access all your reports. You want to do that. This is the title. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one I don't know, we'll say it's the 3rd Street house. Now, I'm going to do the property address here. Now, keep in mind, there's only certain categories on this calculator that you have to have. They have a little red asterisk next to them. And so the ones that have a little red star means that you have to do them. Everything else is optional. Now, why would you want to do all the optional things? Because besides this just being a calculator, this is also a reporting tool. In other words, you can print out these beautiful PDF reports. You can print them. You can email them to somebody. What they do is they showcase the property. So the more detailed you are, the more information you use, you are able to then, showcase the property better. So I would recommend doing as much as you can when you go through. If you're just doing a quick and dirty analysis sitting at home on your own, you're not going to give the report to anybody. Yeah, don't worry about all the extra information. But for now, I'm going to show you, kind of walk you through. One last thing before I get into it. Notice there's a lot of little question marks all over the page where you can hover over and it'll show you a little bit more. For example, you hover over report title and it says, this is a name you'll see when you look at your previous reports. So make sure it's a descriptive of what the report will generate. For example, 123 Main Street flip. So whatever you want to call it. So each of these, if you ever get stuck, just go ahead and hover over one of the question marks and you can move forward. So again, let me just type in a good property address here. I'm going to go ahead and do 123 3rd Street. I'm going to make that one up right now. And the city is going to be in, let's go St. Paul, Minnesota. I don't know the address, 55112. I don't know. All right. Now I want to add a photo to this report. So I'm going to do this now. Let's see. Oh, now, okay. Well, now it's in the button. Whatever. I'm going to search for it here. Where's a good picture? I got a dirty desktop. Here we go. This one right there is the one we're going to use. Upload it there. Now is the sales description. The sales description, you can put whatever you want there. This shows up at the top of your report, though. So I'm going to be typing in the sales description. It could be something from the real estate agent, but I'm just going to say, this is the best house in the world. You'll love it. All right, so we're going to say that. Now, other property features, I'm going to go ahead and expand that section and choose, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's got 1,500 square feet, and it was built in 1920. It's an old house. Now, I can choose here, do I want to sell to a flipper or a rental property owner? Now, this is where I'm going to split this video, and right now I'm going to show you flipper. I'm going to come back and show you rental owner in just a little while, but for now, let me show you flipper. So I click the flipper button, and then I'm going to click next step. All right, now I'm here on page 2 of the calculator. And I'm going to go after repair value. Now, what is the after repair value? That's the property's value after it's fixed up completely. This is the someday future after somebody's put a lot of hard work into it. What could this thing sell for in the general market? Now, you want to be conservative here, but you want to get as close to accurate as you can. And if you want to learn more about that in this little question mark, you can click and go to the link, Estimating ARV Primer. Really good article on that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and say I think this property for the flipper, someday the flipper will be able to sell this for $150,000. Now, my desired wholesale profit, how much do I want to make? I'm a wholesaler. I don't work anything less than $5,000, we'll say. That's my bare minimum. That's what I want to make. Now, maybe your minimum's higher, maybe it's lower, but this is where you can type that in. Now, you can come back and change this all later. Don't worry too much about it, but your house flipper's desired profit. So how much does the house flipper want to make? Well, I guess that kind of depends on the house flipper. You never really know, which is why a good idea to build relationships with your cash buyers. But the house flipper's desired profit, I'm going to go ahead and put in a $20,000. That's, $20,000, not $2,000. That's pretty typical for a house flipper. 20,000 is usually about the bottom minimum of what they want. So we're going to go with that one. Next, we got estimated repair costs. Now, this one is where a lot of wholesalers end up screwing up. This is where they think, well, I don't know how to estimate repair costs, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's go with $10,000. When really it's like $40,000. So now if you know the number, if you know the estimated repair costs, you can type it in here. I could type in $20,000 right here if that's what I knew. If you want a little bit extra help and go a little bit deeper, you can actually expand this and it drops into a bunch of different categories. And you just walk through each one and determine how much it's going to cost to fix up. Now, you have to estimate a few things. Now, if you want, if you've not yet picked up a copy of Jay Scott's book, the book on estimating rehab costs, we sell it on Bigger Pockets. It's on Amazon. It's one of the big, most downloaded books or most purchased books on Amazon in the real estate category. But if you haven't read that yet, you should pick up a copy of it. But just for speed reasons, I'm going to go ahead and just type a number here. We'll say that I did the analysis earlier and it's $25,000 to fix this property up. Now we got the purchase closing costs. Now keep in mind, you're the wholesaler. These are numbers that apply to the flipper. All right, these are not numbers that apply to you because as a wholesaler, you probably don't have purchase closing costs. So instead, we're going to go ahead and think when the cash buyer buys this from the person that you're buying it from, remember, because you're the wholesaler, you're the middleman, how much are their purchase closing costs going to cost? Now, again, I can expand that if I wanted to get a little bit more detailed, but I'm going to go ahead and put in just a number of $3,500. Maybe that's high, maybe it's low. It might change on your location. But now in the end, when the flipper goes to sell the property, how much are they going to sell it for? I'm going to go, or, how much are the closing costs going to be, I should say. They're probably going to get $3,500 in closing costs at the end as well. Now, that does not include the agent commissions. That's the next spot here. So agent commissions are typically 6%, sometimes 5%, sometimes 7%, depends on your area. But typically, that's what I see on smaller residential properties. Then finally, you have the monthly holding costs. Like, what does the flipper got to pay every month just to hold on to the property? There's things like the electricity bill. He's got to pay the gas bill. He's got to pay the mortgage if he's got one. He's got all these things he's got to pay. So what does the flipper have to pay? Now, I could just type in a number there if I know it, or I can expand the cost. And again, I get kind of help. I get to walk through it. So monthly loan payment, property taxes, electricity, water. I type all those in there. And let's just do that right now. We'll say the loan, we know that the guy's paying cash. We don't have to worry about a loan payment. We know his taxes are about $50 a month. We know his electricity is going to be about 50. His water is going to be about 65, we'll say. Garbage is going to be $30 a month for him. There's no HOA. His insurance is $55. And you don't have to be accurate. I mean, perfectly accurate. You should be as close as you can, but you don't have to call up his insurance company. Just, get as close as you can. No lawn care, snow removal, we'll say that's part of the repair budget. And there's nothing extra. Now notice that added it up for us is $250 a month. Now, the final thing we want to do is the number of days the flipper would take to rehab and sell it. The reason we're calculating this is because we want to make sure that the flipper, we've calculated his costs for him, or her costs for her, and part of his or her costs are the holding costs. So I'm going to go ahead and type in, this flipper can do the entire thing in 90 days, we'll say. Now, every flipper is different, every property is different, so you can kind of take a guess at that. Finally, we're all done. That's all we need to know. We're on page 3, so to go to page 4, which is the end, we just hit the calculate results button. And let's see what it comes up with. Elevator music while we're waiting. It's doing a little boop, bop, bop, beep, bop, boop, bop in the background, and we are done. Here you go. So this is what page 4 of the analysis looks like, at least for the flipper side of things. Again, we're going to look at the rental side in just a moment. We got the wholesaling calculator analysis. We got 123 3rd Street in St. Paul. There's the house right there. Nice little picture. Down below, we've got 4 numbers that are pretty important. That's why they're bright colored here. We got the wholesaler profit, which you typed in earlier, $5,000. We got the flipper's profit of $20,000, which you typed in earlier. We've got the maximum allowable offer. Now, it's probably the most important number here, and these might be switched around a little bit. We're still deciding which order we want these in, but the maximum allowable offer is a pretty important number. That is the number that you can offer on that wholesale deal, at least according to the data we have here. And finally, the rehab budget, which you entered in, was $25,000. So let's read this over real quick. According to the data you provided, you can afford to offer $83,250 to get this property under contract, and your end buyer will pay $88,250 for the property, netting you a wholesale fee of $5,000. This is based on an eventual ARV, which is after repair value, of $150,000 and profit for your flipping cash buyer of $20,000 and a rehab budget of $25,000. Now, if you get confused by that, don't worry. Just take it slow, read it over again, maybe rewind this video and watch it again. But it's pretty simple. It's just you can afford to pay $83,250 for this. And if you want to see the full analysis of what that means, go down below. We can see the financial summary for the flipper right here. How do we come up with those numbers? They're all right here. And we can see exactly how the flipper is going to make their $20,000. We can see the estimated repairs. Now, had I segregated that into individual things, they would all show up here. Instead, they all just say 0. But keep that in mind. And then we got, let's see. We got the return on investment for the flipper. That flipper would make a 17% immediate return on investment and 69% annualized. That's great, right? And then finally, we got the hypothetical profit right here, which is kind of cool. What this shows is that you as the wholesaler understand that there's other things that could happen. It means that the deal might get done really quick. It might get done longer. So what we did is we added you as the wholesaler can present this report to a flipper and say, look, if it took you 45 days to do this, you could make $20,375. If it took you 90 days, you'd make 20 grand. If it took you 270 days, you'd only make 18,000. It shows that you're smart as a wholesaler, that you understand that there's a range. It's not necessarily just one number. And then finally, the coolest part of the calculator is you can click the download as a PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There's actually 2 different versions here. There's a download as a PDF for yourself, or you can download a client PDF. Now, this is really cool. I'm going to click that one as well. So let me show you the first one. This is the one that we just went through. This is the PDF for yourself. It's just one simple page, unless you added pictures down below. And it documents everything that we would have just typed in. Pretty cool. You can print it out, keep it for yourself, or show your spouse, which is really good for talking your spouse into these things. And then here's the one for the flipper. Notice it's just a tad bit different. It doesn't have all the wholesale information. This is one that you can just give to the flipper. It doesn't say what you're going to make as a wholesaler. It just shows, hey, flipper, here's what this is. Now, this is really cool because house flippers or landlords, the PDF applies to the landlord one as well, they want to know certain data. They want to know certain numbers. This PDF has everything that they would want to see. And that's why this is so cool. It gives you all the numbers that they would want to see. So you can literally print this out right here or just download it and email it to your cash buyers. And everything that they would care to know about is in this report. They don't have to come back to you and ask you these questions. They don't have to wonder, well, how'd you come up with that repair budget? Because you can type it all in right there. They can see what their return on investment is. It shows that you're organized as a wholesaler and that you're a professional in doing this. You're not just some willy-nilly guy off the street just trying to do his first deal, even if you are doing your first deal. This shows that you are professional. And that's why I love these PDF reports. So we'll rewind this tape real quick and go back to doing this analysis as if this was a rental property instead. All right, this time we're going to do the analysis as if it was a rental property. We're going to sell this to a cash buying landlord. So let me show you how that works real quickly. We're going to call it, this time we're going to call it 3rd Street House. We'll call that again. 3rd Street House. We're going to call it 123 3rd Street. Same property, we'll call it in St. Paul. Saves all my information. That's kind of nice. 55112. We're going to add that same photo again. Let's see if I can drag it in this time. It used to work. Whatever. Mac used to have this cool little thing that you could drag things in, but apparently that's no longer the case. All right, that's all right. We're going to find it down here. We're going to find that picture. There we go. Now you can upload multiple pictures too, and then they'll just put them on that PDF report at the end. But right now, that's all we're going to do. Sales description, we can do that again. This is the landlord's sales description. Now I could write some really good sales copy here, like best deal of the century. You'll love this beautiful 3-bedroom, 4-bath flip where there's rental property where there's a lot of room for appreciation and blah, blah, blah. I could write whatever I want. We're going to be quicker here. Other property features, again, I'll go do that. We're going to call this a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. This time it's got 1,600 square feet, and it was built in 1989. I know, it just got newer. We're going to go to the rental side this time. Click rental and click next step. All right, now we are on page 2. Now, again, this is where it differs from the flip side, asking some different questions because things matter differently to the landlord side versus the flip side. So after repair value, we're still going to say it's worth $150,000 after repair. But the desired wholesale profit, I'm going to go again, $5,000. That's what I want. Now, here's something unique. This is the cash buyer's desired cash-on-cash return. Now, it could also be not cash buyer. It could just be the landlord. They could use a loan. It doesn't matter. But most wholesalers are selling to cash buyers, which is why it says that. Anyway, what kind of cash-on-cash return on investment do they want to achieve? I'm going to go ahead and say they want to get a 12% return on investment. Now, it's kind of neat. You can do it from that way. Instead of doing it from forward, you can work backwards from cash-on-cash return on investment. And that's one of the things that makes this calculator very unique and kind of stand out among anything else that's ever been made like this. In fact, I've never even heard of anybody doing this before. It was kind of a brand new thing for us. And it took a lot of engineering to make that happen, but it's there. So now you can choose, are they going to do a cash purchase? I click that button and now we're done with that page. Or if not, we can actually enter in a loan amount. Now, the reason you would do that is if you want to assume that your cash buyer is using all cash, you might want to do that. But if you want to help them project their profit into the future and look at their cash flow as if they had a loan, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to say that, we know the after repair value is 150, and I'm going to take kind of a guess here and say, let's say, what if their loan amount was 100,000? Now we can change that later if we need to. That's all right. And I'm going to say that they got a loan interest rate of 5%. And they amortized it over 30 years. That means how long was the mortgage for? Spread out over 30 years. We know their mortgage payment is going to be $536. Nice little thing right there pops up. Next step. All right, now we got the most important page probably. This is the expenses and such. So let's first of all talk about the repair costs. What's it going to take to fix this property up? We're going to use that same number we used before, $25,000. We're going to use a couple of the same numbers, $3,500 for closing costs. But now when the landlord buys it, but now we got gross monthly rent. Now, what does the property rent for? I'm going to go ahead and say it rents for $1,400 a month, we'll say. You know what? Actually, this is a nice house. We're going to go $1,800 a month. Any other monthly income? You got laundry, you got storage. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe here we got $50 a month for something. I don't know. Property taxes. How much are the annual property taxes on this property? You can look that up at the county records. We figured out that they are $1,350 here. And then finally, we've got the electricity, the water, the sewer, the garbage, the HOA, insurance, and expenses. Now, in a house like this one, I'm going to assume that the tenant is going to pay their own electricity, so I don't need to include it. They're going to pay their own water, their own sewer, they're going to pay their own garbage, they're going to pay their own HOA. The landlord is going to pay, that I wholesale this to, is going to pay the insurance. And we're going to guess about $45 a month for that. Might be a little bit more than that depending on your area, but we're going to guess about $45 a month. And other monthly expenses, is there anything else? Different areas might have different things. You can check with a local landlord or property manager to find out. But I'm going to leave it at that. And finally, we got variable expenses. What are some of these variables? These are things that go up and down, and they're based on the rent. So they're percentages. They're not always the same. 1 month, for example, vacancy rate. You might have a vacancy 1 month and not 9 months late for the next 9 months, and then you might have one again. So we use percentages for these variable expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and say the vacancy rate of, let's go 8% there. Repairs, I'm going to go ahead and say, we're going to go 8% for that too. And capital expenditures, CapEx, which is like the big things you got to save up for, a new roof, new siding, a new parking lot, new driveway. I'm going to go ahead and say 5% for that one. And property management. If they're going to manage themselves, maybe you don't want to include this, but if they're going to hire management, you may want to include that. So I'll do 10% here. And then any other variable expenses. So let's go ahead and probably say there's nothing else that I can think of now, but if you know of something, you can include it here, another percentage. And finally, future assumptions. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, it's fine. But if you want to do future assumptions to show them what the future will look like, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the income is going to increase 3% per year, that the property value is going to increase 3% per year, and that expenses are going to increase 2% per year. I'm only going to put 2% because my assumption is that the mortgage is going to stay the same. So that expense isn't going to rise. Everything else goes up, mortgage stays the same. Hit the calculate results button and let's see what it comes up with. Again, we got to let it do a little boop, 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 boop. Computer work here. In the meantime, we'll listen to some elevator music. Do, 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 do. All right, here we go. We are on the results page. 123 3rd Street in St. Paul. Again, I don't know if that's a real address. Don't go there and be a creep. All right, so here's some of the numbers that we came up with. First of all, we can see that the maximum allowable offer on this one at this point is $124,000. The landlord's price that. Landlord, let's see what else we got here. We can see that the purchase price of $150, if they paid $150, if it was worth $150, I should say, it would work out to a cash on cash return on investment of 12%, like we put in there. And then we got expenses, income, 50% rule, all that good stuff here. Basically, just all the information you could possibly want are on this document here. I mean, like you can kind of just scroll down and see a lot of cool stuff. And at the end, you can download as a PDF, just like before. You can download the PDF. And what's kind of cool about the landlord one is you can actually look at this cool like graphs that do some fun stuff like equity, property value, loan payoff. You can kind of see what the future looks like. A bunch of different numbers. So yeah, pretty fancy stuff here. Kind of a big fan of that. Now let's go look at that PDF real quick. So here's the PDF after printed out. We've got the picture up here. We got all the numbers that matter right here. We got all the numbers that matter here. And this might look, we still might be working on this a little bit. It might look a little different to you. And down here, we got all these numbers. So kind of some fun stuff you can play with the PDF. Again, you can give this to a landlord if you need to. And yeah, pretty good stuff. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this video now because it's been going on way too long, but hopefully you enjoyed checking out this video on the Bigger Pockets wholesaling calculator. I think it's going to be pretty cool to be able to use. You can get to it at biggerpockets.com/calc. Now you do need a pro membership to be able to use it full time, but as a free member on Bigger Pockets, you can use it up to 3 times or maybe 5 before you have to have a pro membership. So if you're not a pro yet, you can upgrade to pro by going to biggerpockets.com/pro. There's a whole laundry list of other benefits you get, but this is just one of the cooler ones. So with that, this is Brandon Turner, VP of Growth here at Bigger Pockets and co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast, signing off.